Today, we step into a place that feels like the final chapter of a Gothic novel, but it's very real. A chapel where the walls are made not of bricks or stones, but of the dead. Skulls stare from the rafters, ribs form garlands, a chandelier hangs overhead, and it contains at least one of every bone in the human body. This is the Sedlec Ossuary, in the quiet Czech town of Kutná Hora. It's beautiful, it's terrifying, and it's one of the most mysterious religious sites in the world. Why turn human remains into decoration? Why would anyone build such a thing? The answer takes us through war, plague, and the very heart of medieval Europe's beliefs about life, death, and what comes after. Chapter 1. Holy Ground. Our story begins in 1278. The abbot of Sedlec Monastery, a man named Henry, was sent by King Otto II of Bohemia to the Holy Land. He returned carrying something small, yet unimaginably powerful, a patch of soil from Golgotha, the hill where Jesus was crucified. When he sprinkled this holy earth over the monastery's cemetery, Sedlec became one of the most sacred burial sites in Central Europe. Pilgrims came from far and wide, desperate to be buried here. To rest forever in such a place was thought to be a direct pathway to heaven. For a while it was a quiet, peaceful graveyard, but history was about to shatter that peace. Chapter 2. Death arrives in waves. The 14th century brought a darkness Europe had never seen before. The Black Death, between 1347 and 1351, tore through the continent, killing as much as half of the population in some regions. Sedlec was no exception. Graves filled faster than they could be dug. The consecrated ground that once welcomed pilgrims now received the victims of plague by the thousands. And death wasn't finished. In the early 15th century, the Hussite Wars erupted, a religious conflict that devastated Bohemia. Kutná Hora became a battlefield. More dead, more burials. By the end of it all, the cemetery held tens of thousands, some say over 40,000 souls. Chapter 3. The Bone Collector. By the 16th century, the overcrowded graves had become a problem. The church assigned the quiet, half-blind monk to an unusual task: exhume the bodies and move the bones into the ossuary, a small chapel built to store them. Day after day, in silence, he dug, cleaned, and stacked skeletons. Imagine his reality, brushing dust from skulls centuries old, stacking femurs in the dim light, surrounded by the weight of thousands of lives once lived. The bones were piled high, anonymous, chaotic. For centuries, they sat in heaps, slowly yellowing, their stories almost forgotten, until an artist arrived. Chapter 4. Turning Death into Art. In 1870, the land came under the care of the Schwarzenberg family. They hired a local wood carver, Franz Zegrind, and gave him a task that bordered on the impossible. Take this mountain of bones and make it beautiful. Rent bleached the bones to a ghostly white. Then, piece by piece, he turned them into decoration. Today, the chapel contains a chandelier said to hold at least one of every bone in the human body. A massive Schwarzenberg coat of arms, built entirely from skulls and bones. Bone pyramids stacked with tens of thousands of remains. Garlands made from skulls that drape the nave like Macabre Christmas decorations. It is art. It is devotion. It is also deeply unsettling. Chapter 5. Meaning in the macabre. Why would anyone want this? The answer lies in medieval Catholic thinking about memento mori, the reminder that we will all die. Death wasn't hidden away in hospital wards or behind closed doors, as it often is today. It was part of life. The ossuary is, in one sense, a sermon made of bones. Remember you will die, but also remember what lies beyond. The human remains here aren't meant as horror. They're meant as a bridge between Earth and eternity. Chapter 6, a tangent of time. Now, this isn't the only place in Europe where bones became building material. In Evora, Portugal, there's the Chapel of Bones. In Rome, the Capuchin Crypt. Even Paris, with its catacombs, hides miles of bone-lined tunnels beneath its streets. Chapter 7, the modern fascination. Today, the Sedlec Ossuary is one of the Czech Republic's most visited sites. Thousands come every year, some in awe, some in morbid curiosity. Photographers, historians, and tourists stand together under the chandelier, staring up at the artistry of death. It's also been the subject of documentaries, novels, and even heavy metal album covers. Its strange beauty continues to fascinate and unsettle. Conclusion, the final rest. The Sedlec Ossuary is more than a tourist attraction. It's a conversation with the past. Every skull here once had a name, a voice, a life. When you stand in that chapel, surrounded by tens of thousands of silent witnesses, you can't help but feel your own heartbeat and remember that one day it will stop. It's humbling, it's haunting, and it's unforgettable. So tell me, do you see this place as beautiful, horrifying, or both?